Hello everyone, welcome to the channel Unshackling Sudokus and Puzzles. Today's video will be on an anti-fortress arrow Sudoku created by Phistomefel. This Sudoku has been taken from Logic Masters Germany portal. In the portal, Phistomefel has created many Sudokus and published them, and many of the Sudokus have been rated very well, more than 95%. Most of his Sudokus have been rated really well on the portal. I will add the link to all of his Sudokus in the description of the video, and also the online solving link for playing this Sudoku yourself. Do try out the Sudoku and please come back and watch the video. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. The rules of the Sudoku are normal classic rules apply. Each row, each column and each 3x3 box will have digits 1 to 9 without repetition. Then the digit in a circle indicates the sum of all digits along the arrow originating in the circle. So arrow Sudoku rules apply. The sum of the digits along the arrow stem will be equal to the digit in the circle. Digits may repeat in an arrow stem provided arrow rules or classic rules are not violated. A digit in a gray cell is smaller than any digit in an orthogonally adjacent cell. So this is the opposite of a fortress. So whenever you find a gray cell, so there are 3 gray cells here, then this gray cell will be lesser than all these 4 adjacent cells. Similarly, this gray cell and similarly this gray cell will be lesser than all 4 adjacent cells. So these are the rules. With that, we'll start solving this Sudoku. So I am trying to look for arrow stems which have at least 3 cells. I am not able to find any except this one. This has 3 cells in the stem, so the minimum value is going to be 6, which means we can write the possibilities. 1 plus 2 plus 3 will be 6 minimum. And okay, nothing here. So this seems to be very restricted, guys. Column 5 and box 5 seems to be very restricted. So if I try to look at where 9 goes in this column, I am able to see only 2 possibilities. 9 cannot be in the arrow stem because then the circle will have no value. So 9 cannot be in any of these cells, and 9 cannot be in a shaded cell because then the anti-fortress rule will be violated. So there are only 2 possibilities for 9 in column 5, either row 1 column 5 or row 7 column 5. Only 2 possibilities. So this sum is very restricted, guys. This can be maximum 18, right? Both of these circles can take a maximum value of 18. No, it would be 17 because if I have 18, then both of these cells would be 9, and then this 9 will not have any cell left for it. So maximum value from these 2 circles will be 17, which means that maximum value from these cells will be 17. So if I were to have maybe a 3 here, which means that the minimum value here becomes 4, 5, 6, 7, so which is equal to 9 plus 15 plus 7, 22, which is more than the permissible value. So I can't have anything greater than or equal to 3. So minimum value will be 2. So can I have a 2? So if I have a 2, this becomes minimum 3, 4, 5, 6, which is equal to 11 plus 4, 15 plus 3, 18. Again, 18 is not possible as we just saw, which means that the only possible value that can go in this shaded cell is a 1. Beautiful logic, right? Superb. So the minimum value here in the shaded cells now becomes 2, 3, 4, 5, which is equal to 14. And there are many possibilities to get to 14. Okay, no issue. So suddenly, because of placing this 1, I am just seeing where the 8 can go into the cell, and you'll quickly see that 8 cannot be in any of these cells, right? Because if the 8 goes in any of these arrows, then the other digit in the arrow stem has to be 1, but 1 is not possible. So 8 is removed from both of these cells, and 8 also cannot go in any of these cells, right? Any of these 4 cells cannot take an 8 because then to satisfy the arrow part, you will need to have 1 as the other digit, but 1 is already ruled out. So which means that 8 has again only 2 options, just like 9. Row 1 column 5 and row 7 column 5. So which means we can lock a pair here. So both of these cells will be 8 and 9. Beautiful. So thinking further, we know that the minimum total here is going to be 14, which is 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Can I satisfy this total without a 2? For example, if you have 3, 4, 5, 6, we already saw that the total was 18, which is not possible. So which means that I am certain that 2 has to be in these 4 cells. Going with the same logic, can I satisfy the total without a 3? 2 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6, which is equal to 17. Okay, 17 seems possible. So I can go without the 3. So only thing for certain is that 2 must be in these 4 cells. Okay. Okay, this is interesting, guys. Very interesting. So because we have placed 8, 9 pair in these cells, we now know the sum of all these 6 cells. I will show the shaded cells. Okay, all these 6 cells we know the sum, right? Because for example, if you have an 8 here, then this value becomes 16 total, because these two cells will sum up to 8 and this will be an 8. And similarly, if you have a 9 here, these two cells will sum to 9 and this would be 9. So basically from these 6 cells we will have double of the value of 8 and 9, which means that 17 multiplied by 2, which is 34, will be the sum from these 6 cells. So this is 1, so 35, so which means these two cells will sum up to 10, and because of which we can eliminate the 2 from here. Beautiful, because 2 will take an 8, but 8 is already in this cell, so which means that 2 must go into these two cells, row 5 column 4 and row 5 column 6. It cannot go in the column 5, right? So because I have 1, 2 here, now this arrow becomes suddenly, it comes suddenly into life. So you'll quickly see that 6 and 7 can be eliminated, because 6 and 7 will have either 1, 2 and 3, which is ruled out, or 1, 2 and 4, which is again ruled out, because 1 and 2 are in row 5. So this is not 6 and 7. So this is going to be 8 and 9. So if I have an 8, 8 can be 1 plus 2 plus 5, which is not possible, or 1 plus 3 plus 4. 1 plus 3 plus 4 is possible, right? If I have a 9, it is 1 plus 2 plus 6, which is ruled out. 2 plus 3 plus 4, 2 is here, so 2 goes here, and these cells will be 3, 4, okay, or 1 plus 3 plus 5. So 1 would be here and this would be a 3 and 5, okay. So these are all the exhaustive possibilities in these cells, which means that, so this is 1 and 2, and these two cells will be 3, 4 and 5. And now this shaded cell can maximum be 4, because it should be less than this cell, so this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful, guys. We are really nice solve path. Okay, I'm certain that 3 has to be inside these 3 cells, right? Because if I don't have a 3 here, then these two cells add up to 9 and I'll have a value more than 9 in this circle. So these cells will need to have a 3 in them, and because of which the minimum value here becomes 4, right? I'm sorry, 4 in these cells, which means that the minimum total from these cells becomes 6, and these cells add up to minimum 10. So I have minimum 16 from these 4 cells, right? So which means these two circles will have a minimum total of 16 and maximum of 17, because 18 is not possible due to 8, 9 pair here. So this would be 7, 8, 9, and this would be a 7, 8, 9. Okay. So which means that this is 6 or 7. So correspondingly this would take either 2 and 4, or it would be 2 and 5. Beautiful. If it is a 7, it would be 2 and 5. If it is a 6, it would be 2 and 4. And these two cells add up to 10, which is either 3 plus 7 or 4 plus 6. Only possibilities, right? Because I have 1 and 9 and 2 and 8 ruled out, so it will be 3, 7 or 4, 6. They add up to 10. And now if you look at row 5, we have a nice quadruple, guys. What a Sudoku, right? We hardly placed only one digit and we are seeing a quadruple in the Sudoku. Amazing creation by Phistomefel. So these 4 cells will need to have 2, 3, 4, 5 in them, right? Which means that the rest of the cells in that row has to be 6, 7, 8, 9. And we are sure that 9 cannot be in the arrow, so 9 is eliminated from here. Unless it is a single cell arrow, you cannot have a 9 in the arrow. So, okay. So this cell, these two cells cannot be existing without a 6 between them, because if you don't have a 6 in them, this cells become 7 8 in total, which is 15, and these two cells will be minimum 1 and 2, so 15 plus 3 is 18, so you need 18 from these two cells, which is not possible. So we are certain that there must be a 6 in those cells, right? And 6 is eliminated from here and here. So if I have 6 and 7 here and a 1 and 2 here, which is the bare minimum from these 4 cells, I'll take 13 plus 1 plus 2, which is 16. So my minimum total from these two cells will be 16 and maximum would be 17. And in both of the cases, I need to have a 9 in these cells. That's good. So, and it is going to be 16, which means it's 7 and 9, or it is 17, which is 8 and 9. So 9 must be in these cells, which means 9 is not here. 9 is eliminated from here. So I get a 6, 7, 8 triplet here now, right? Because 9 got eliminated, this will be 6, 7, 8, and which means this is a 9. And this 6, 7, 8 removes the 7, 8 from here, so this is a 9, and this would be a 7, 8. So 9 is already eliminated from here, right? That's good. So now let us try to place some 9s in the grid. So 9 must be in these two cells using classic. And we also know that the minimum total from these cells is going to be 16. So which means that I need to have a 9 in them, because 8 and 8 is not possible. You cannot make the 16 using 8 here and 8 here, because that would violate this 8-9 pair. So 9 must be in these cells, and maximum would be 17, in which case too you will have a 9 in the cells, and there is also a 9 in these two cells. So which basically means that there must be 9 in one of these two cells and 9 in one of these two cells, right? So if I have a 9 here, this would be a 9, and if I have a 9 here, this would be a 9. Okay, so 9 is not in this cell and 9 is not in this cell, and 9 cannot be in the arrow. So which means 9 is here, which means 9 is in these three cells, and so 9 is not in column 7, 9 is not in row 7, which means 9 is in these 4 cells, but 9 cannot be in the arrow. So which means 9 is in these two cells, and that gives a 9 here. Superb solve path, guys. What a fun Sudoku to solve, really. So, and I have a 7, 8, 9 triplet in row 3. So which means 9 can be eliminated from here. This is not a 9, so 9 must be in these cells. And in this box, 9 cannot be here, and 9 can be anywhere in these 5 cells. So let us leave that for now. Okay. Okay, so you have a 7, 8 pair here, right? So if I have a 7 or 8 here, if this is a 7, then this becomes 7, and if this is an 8, this also becomes 8. Now you quickly see that that is not possible, because this plus this would have to be equal to the value in the circle, and the only way that is possible is if you don't have 7, 8 here and have a 6 here, which means this is not a 6, this becomes 7, 8. So correspondingly this has to be a 1 or a 2, right? And this also has to be a 1 or a 2 for the 9, which means these cells will be 3, 4, 5, right? So I have a 1, 2 pair in row 4 now. Beautiful. So can I do anything with that? Oh yes, in fact this is a really sharp reduction, guys. So you can't have 8 in this cell, right? If you have 8 here, we know that 8 with 3 cells will have to take a 1 here. So if this is 8, the 1 goes here, and this becomes 3, 4, and this becomes 7, right? And now 6 would have to take a 1. Now we have a clash from these two cells. So this value cannot be 8. A really sharp, razor sharp reduction, you can say. This cannot be 8, which means this is a 9. And this becomes, okay, this is okay. So this can be still anything. So 9 is removed from here. And we know that 9 must be in these two cells. So this becomes 9. This becomes 9, all using classic, and this is 8, sorry, this has to be 8, and this would have to be 9, and that forces the 9 here. Beautiful. And this 9 gives a 9 here. Suddenly we have placed all the 9s in the grid. Superb. So 8 is going to either be now 2 plus 6 or 3 plus 5. Both are possible. So 8 can't be here, and 8 cannot be in this column as well. And 8 cannot be in these cells, so 8 has only one cell in box 7 guys, because 8 cannot be here. You have already the 9 outside the circle. 8 can't be here and 8 cannot be here, so 8 would have to go here, and that resolves this 7-8 pair using classic. This is 8, this is 7, and this becomes a 7 now, right? Because of which this would be a 1 to satisfy this arrow, and that becomes a 2, and which means these two cells would have to add up to 7, and they would have to be 3 4, which means these two cells will be 2 5 now. Beautiful guys, what a Sudoku. And now for the 9, this cell would have to be 7 or 4, and we know that these two cells add up to 10 for the column, so which means this will be 6 or 3 corresponding to 4 or 7. Beautiful guys, superb Sudoku really. So I can't have a 5 here, right? If I have a 5 here, I won't be able to satisfy the total here, so which means this is a 2, because 5 plus 3, oh, I can have the 5 here, because 5 plus 3 is 8, right? Oh, there is a 7 here, right? So which means this would be 8 straight away. And now going with the 8s, 8 may be in these two cells, 8 may be in these 4 cells. Okay, lots of possibilities. Let me go for maybe column 3. Column 3 has only 2 cells, either this cell or this cell, but 8 can't be here, so which means that 8 has to be in row 1 column 3. Okay, and that gives 8 in these cells, but 8 can't be here because that would force a 9 here, so 8 is in these 2 cells, and 8 will be in these 3 cells for row 9, and 8 cannot go into the arrow because 9 is not possible, so which means this would be 8, and that gives 8 in these 2 cells in box 6, and that's about it, I think. Oh, 8 can be eliminated from here, right? Because this cannot be a 9, so that gives an 8 here. A very smooth solve path to the Sudoku guys, but definitely a tough one, no doubt about it. So we have got all the 8s in the grid now. Superb, we are really a systematic solve path. So how do we continue now? So we have 2 3 4 here, right? Which means this cell has to be a 1, cannot be 2 3 4, this becomes 1, and the rest of the cells would have to be 5 6 and 7, and the maximum value here can be 7, which means that this cannot be 7, so this would be 5 or 6, and if this is 5 and 6, then this would have to be 6 and 7, right? It should be greater than the value here, and maximum is 7, and this one suddenly is very restricted. So you have a 2 here, so I cannot have 3 or anything above that here, because 3 plus 5 would be 8, and I don't have an 8 here, so maximum this can only be 2, but 2 is also ruled out, so this would have to be a 1. Beautiful. So 5 1 6 or 6 1 and 7. 6 must be in these 2 cells, at least in one of these 2 cells. So in fact it should be in one of those cells, at least is not the correct word. 6 must be in one of these cells exactly. And how do we continue now? 7 is in column, we place the 9s in the grid, we place the 8s in the grid, so let us look for the 7. So 7 is in these 2 columns, so which means that 7 must be in these 3 cells, but 7 can be eliminated from here because 8 9 is outside, so this becomes 7. And so this is immediately a 6 now, classic, so that becomes a 5, and these 2 cells become 6 and 7, and this 5 makes this as 3 4, and this would be a 5. So 3 4 pair gives a 7 here, which means for the 9 this would have to be a 2, this would have to be a 5, this becomes a 3 for the 8, and these 2 cells will be 4 6 now for the box, and that gives a 7 here, a 6 here. And using classic I can place the 6 here for the column. So 7 cannot be in column 7, 7 cannot be in row 3, 7 must be in these 2 cells, and that gives a 7 in these 2 cells. 7 cannot go here because you don't have 8 9 here, so this becomes a 7. So for the column this has to be a 3 or 4. And now what does this cell can take? Okay, this would be minimum 2 and 3, right? And the maximum here can be 5. So this would have to be a 5, no other possibility. And 4 is ruled out from here quickly because 1 is here. So this would have to be a 3, this would have to be a 2, and this would have to be a 4. and this 3 resolves this 3 4 pair, and a 1 here gives a 2 here, and I can fill this column now. 1 3 8 2 6 9, so this would be 4 5 and 7, and this would have to be 1 2 and 3. Right, we have got some digits here. So for the 8 cannot be 1 and 7 or 3 and 5 now, so this would have to be 2 and 6, and now I can fill the column. This would have to be 4 and 5. What a solve path, guys. Amazing, really. I mean, it's extracting every bit of information from all the digits given already. Amazing creation by Phistomefel. So 1 4 6 7 8 9, so these cells will be 2 3 5, so 2 is not here, so this is 3 5, 2 must be in these cells. I have a 2 here, so I can resolve this 2 6 pair. So now the 7 cannot be 2 and 5 or 1 and 6. 7 would have to be 3 and 4, which quickly gets resolved. I have a 3 here, so this would have to be a 4, this would have to be a 3, and this would have to be 1 for the column. So this would be 2 and 3, this cell. So because of the 3 here, these cells becomes 2 5, and that becomes a 3. And now these two cells would have to be 1 and 6, which can be resolved with the 6 here. So this is a 6 and this is a 1. So these cells will be 1 4 6 9 2 3 8 5 and 7. Right? So which means that these cells will be 1 and 4. Okay, and this is a 5, so which means the 5 and 7 can be resolved. Okay, where do I go next? I haven't yet looked at this gray cell at all, right? So I know that this should be lesser than all these 4 cells, which means that this cell becomes minimum 2 in value, it cannot be a 1, and it is maximum 3, which means that this cell is minimum 2, so this can only be 1 or 2, no other possibility. So I have a 7 here, so 7 cannot go here, so this is a 4 or a 5. Even the end of the Sudoku is not so easy, guys. I was hoping to race through it, but a really tricky solve. So I have a 6 here, and I have a 6 in column 1, so 6 must be in one of these cells. So now the 9 cannot be 1 and 8, cannot be 2 and 7, cannot be 3 and 5. So this would have to be 4, 5. 9 has only one possibility, and that is not yet resolved. So you have a 4, 5 here, you have a 4, 5 here. So this is a 7 now, 4, 5, 7. So this is a 7, this is a 4 and 5. 7 is eliminated from there. And now this arrow is suddenly become restricted. So you have a 2, 3 here, right? Which means that this cell can maximum be 3 and minimum be 2. So this would also be 2 and 3. You can't have 4 or anything greater than here, because this cell will be violated then. So this is maximum 3 and minimum 2. Oh, I can eliminate 2 from here, guys. Superb. Look at this deduction, how sweet. So if you have a 2 here, both of these cells become minimum 3, and the total is 6 now. So you can't have 6 here, which means that this is a 1, and that becomes 1 and 4, and that becomes 4 and 6. Which means this is a 2 3 for the column, and this will be 6 7 6 7 8 4 5 9 and 1 2 and 3. Okay, so 7s can be resolved. So this is a 7 and this is a 6, and that gives a 6 here. So this is a 6, which means that we can pencil mark these cells. So nothing here, nothing here. So 1 can be placed, right? So this is a 1. Have I made a mistake in the solve? Oh, this arrow. Oh, this cannot be 2 plus 2. Superb, guys. Look how at the end, the uniqueness in the thing, the Sudoku has to be unique, right? Look how this arrow is helping us. Beautiful. I am pretty certain that this arrow must have been drawn in the grid at the very last by the author. So if you look at this arrow, it cannot be a 5, because if it is a 5, then this would have to be 2 and 3, no other possibility. I'm sorry, this cannot be a 4. I'm sorry, guys. This arrow cannot take a 4 here, because if this is a 4, then both of these cells will be 2 in value, these two cells, right? And you cannot have both of these cells as 2, because then box 1 will not have 2. Superb. So this would have to be a 5, this would have to be a 4, this would have to be a 5, this would have to be a 4, this is a 5, this is a 4, this is a 4, this is a 3, and this 5 resolves this 5 2, and that gives a 3 here, a 2 here, a 3 here, a 2 here, a 3 here, and 2 here. Amazing, guys. I'll rate this Sudoku 10 on 10. What a Sudoku! What a Sudoku! Really amazing creation from Phistomefel. I sincerely I would have thought that this puzzle is rated 100% on the portal. An amazing creation. Really excellent solve path. I enjoyed so much solving this Sudoku, guys. If you guys too enjoyed watching me solve, please let us know your thoughts in comments. We hope that you had a great time watching the video. We'll be back soon again with a video. Meanwhile, please try to share the video with your friends and ask them to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.